Hey, today we're going to talk about low carb diets and are carbs bad for you? Now, a lot of people search that term. According to google.com, about 1,600 people a month type into their search bar, are carbs bad for you? We're going to answer that question, and we're also going to go through the evidence and the research. There's been a ton of studies on low carb diets. There's been studies done on people wanting to lose weight with low carb diets, those seeking general health through low carb diets, and there's been tests done on people who are diabetic. Now, you would assume that the evidence would say that low carb diets work well, especially for diabetics. And yet, after all the research is in and you study it for yourself, you will find that there really is no evidence that low carb diets are either more effective for weight loss than other types of diets, or that low carb diets are good for you generally. Now, if you don't believe that, you ought to at least look at the scientific references that I'm going to provide in the description if you're looking at this on YouTube, or at the bottom of the blog article if you're on our blog. I'll put a reference to everything I discuss so you can see it for yourself. And if you want to geek out on it and go look at all the studies, you can. The links are there. One of the most interesting one was a meta-study. A meta-study is a study of the studies. There was 32 studies that were done with controlled feeding. Now, controlled feeding is when the recipients are actually given all of their meals. It's a very, very strict type of a study and pretty hard to cheat. I mean, a lot of studies, when people are doing, at-home reporting on what they ate, they have a high margin of error. But in these studies, they took 3 different groups. All of them had the exact same amount of calories and the exact same amount of protein. The only difference was some had low carb and higher fat, and some had the reverse. And when the results were in, there was just literally no evidence that the low carb diet was good. As a matter of fact, the low fat diet, which we now know a low fat diet, and everything we learned in the 90s from going to low fat just made our whole population more obese. And so we do understand that low fat diets aren't the best idea either, and yet the low fat diet was actually more effective than a low carb diet. Now, for myself, I tried a low carb diet. When I was 47, I wanted to qualify and compete in the national championships in Olympic distance triathlon. I was running, biking, and swimming, and that was what I did to keep in shape. And I thought, I want to do the national championships. And so I did a low carb diet for that, and I was very strict with it. I did it for about 8 months, and generally I felt really good. I was lean and fit, and I performed fairly well. I actually went in 10 races that year. And I was able to medal in 6 of the 10 races, which was very good for me. And in the national championships, I was in the top 25% of all competitors, which was really cool because I was 47 years old. A lot of them were younger. So I was fit and I was doing fairly well. And I thought this diet was great. But at the end of the season, I started to see the problems that came in. When I got a physical, my doctor was surprised at how bad my blood work was. And that was a surprise to me too, because I thought I was very fit. And so I actually had to go back on carbs. I wasn't sleeping very well. My hormones were whacked, which was something I'd never dealt with before. And I was having other symptoms. I wasn't recovering from my workouts as well as I used to. And when I added carbs back in, I did much better. Now, it's not about me. I'm not saying because I had a bad experience that everyone else would as well. To me, it's just much more about the research and the science and the big studies that have been done that make me think that low carb diets just aren't that great of an idea. The other thing is that, anytime you mess with protein, fat, and carbs and go to an extreme in any one of those, it just leads to difficulties because, of course, you can't go to a party and have someone's birthday cake if you're on a low carb diet. If you're trying to be in ketosis, even a banana can kick you out of ketosis. And so anytime that you can't eat fruit, you've got to question whether overall this is really the best way to go. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, if it's working for you, then go ahead. But don't become an evangelist and think it's going to work for everyone else as well. So you might be wondering, well, low carb diets work great for me, and I have told everyone that I lost all this weight because of a low carb diet. So why is that? Well, the answer lies in research done by Dr. John Berardi of Precision Nutrition. He's got an excellent article about this. Again, I'll link to this in the notes. And he talks about why people succeed on any of the named diets. Low carb, South Beach, Paleo, the carnivore diet, fill in the blank. There's all these named diets that have proponents, that are evangelists, that think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, except those people on low carb diets who don't eat bread. So they don't think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread because they don't like bread. Anyways, you get the idea. Dr. Berardi says there's 5 reasons why any of these diets could work for people, especially temporarily. So the first reason why people have success on any of the named diets is because they start paying more attention to what they're eating. And simply paying attention and being more aware can lead to significant health benefits. Because if you're not paying attention, it's pretty easy to snack throughout the day and to eat a lot of extra calories that you weren't even aware of. So simple awareness raises your game and helps you lose weight and be more fit. The second reason why any of the named diets can work is because they focus on food quality. People start eating higher quality carbs, fats, and protein. They start eating less junk food. So that is common among all the diets. The third reason why they work is because they eliminate deficiencies. So people who are eating very poorly weren't getting enough of the micronutrients that they needed, the phytochemicals, zoochemicals. And so when they start eating enough vegetables and fruit and healthy foods, they start getting those and feeling a lot better from that as well. The fourth reason they do well on these named diets is because they control their intake. They tend to understand that they shouldn't eat too much food. Sometimes they're doing calorie counting or they're trying to not eat too many grams of carbs, for example. And so they just don't eat too much. And the fifth common denominator is fitness and exercise. When people start a health regimen or a named diet, they often get more fit. They join the gym, they start working out, they work out better and harder. And then often it's a virtuous cycle, right? So they're eating better, so they feel better at the gym. When they go to the gym, they're getting stronger or faster or whatever it is they're working on. And that virtuous cycle just keeps them going. And then they become more and more motivated to stay fit and active. So that combination of fitness and good nutrition keeps them going, helps them to have success. So they think they're having all this success because of the named diet. I'm having all this success because I do paleo. I'm feeling terrific. You got to do this low carb diet that I'm doing. Or fill in the blank with the name of the diet. But the fact is, it's typically these 5 things that underlie almost all diets that lead to the success. So what I'm not trying to do here is justify bad carbs. Let's face it, there's plenty of bad carbs in our society. If you're traveling and you pull into a gas station and you need a snack, chances are you're going to be faced with a ton of unhealthy carbs and very few healthy carbs. And so it is actually not that easy to eat healthy carbs or a healthy diet at all in America, actually. But if you are nutritionally aware and you're trying to eat healthy carbs, fat, and protein, you can if that's what you're striving to do. So what we teach is to eat a healthy balance of carbs, fat, and protein, plenty of vegetables, and to not have strict eating rules because those can actually lead to binge eating and a lot of problems. A lot of people crash and burn when the diet is too difficult. I love precision nutrition. That's why I got my certification from Precision Nutrition. I did it as a student first. I took the 1 year of precision nutrition coaching, and I loved it. I loved the sanity of it. I love that they don't have the concept of good and bad, right and wrong, that the body is able to compensate, that you're able to go out and have a fun time on the weekend as long as you're nutritionally aware and generally eating a really good and healthy diet. So in the end, it's best to just go for a healthy diet and lifestyle. Eat more foods from farms, less from factories. Eat according to the hand rules. I'll put a chart about that on the blog post so you can learn about that if you don't know about it. Basically, it's portion control. Not too many carbs. The right balance of carbs, fats, protein, 5 to 9 servings of vegetables every day, and you really can't go wrong. Unless you're a level 3 eater like a professional or a model who's getting ready for a photo shoot, you just don't need to eat at that very high, strict level. And even those people that you see that look so ripped and lean on the magazine covers generally do not maintain that for very long at all. So if you're looking for a sane, easy to do solution that you can do quite easily and that you don't have to count calories, you don't have to count how many grams of carbs you're taking in every day, make sure and go to dirobi.com/pro. There's a video there that shows you the program that we have that can help you with this. And again, the basics really are eat more food from farms, less from factories, be active. We all know all of those things. You don't have to go to extremes to be at your best and at your ideal body weight and to be fit and healthy and reach your goals. This is Dave Sherwin wishing you health and success. And make sure and subscribe to our channel. We have a lot of other good videos coming. And here's my grandbaby, the little miss from Texas, who's going to invite you to subscribe to the channel. How can you resist? Until next time.
Subscribe, 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 subscribe. subscribe.